A lovely evening and thank you for watching Times News. You're with me, Elita Soko. First, the headlines. Anti-Corruption Bureau arrests 3 government officials over allegations of political interference in the awarding of fuel importation deals. High levels of optimism as the 41st SADC Summit commences. And Malawi rolls out administration of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. We have these and more. Please do stay with us. In our first news item tonight, the Anti-Corruption Bureau on Monday arrested Minister of Energy Newton Kambala, Alliance for Democracy AFORD President Enoch Chihana, and President Lazarus Chakwera's Chief Strategy Advisor Christian Mabanda. They have been arrested over allegations of political interference in the awarding of the 2021-2022 fuel importation deals by the National Oil Company of Malawi, NOCMA. ACB spokesperson Agwita Ndala confirmed the arrests. We have more in this report.
Kambala becomes the second serving cabinet minister to be arrested in democratic Malawi after Yusuf Mwawa, who was arrested in May 2005. The arrest came after NOCMA Deputy Chief Executive Officer Helen Buluma reported to ACB in November last year that the 3 were meddling in the fuel tender process with intent to influence award of the fuel supply contracts to specific suppliers. ACB Director General Martha Chizuma has told journalists in Lilongwe that the investigations into the matter confirmed political interference.
And we have also completed the investigations, and there's a recommendation that there must be prosecution of those that were allegedly involved. And as we're talking now, the Bureau is in the process of executing that recommendation.
On Friday, ACB also gave a go-ahead to NOCMA to proceed to offer fuel importation contracts to successful bidders in the process. According to the letter that was addressed to the former ACB chief Reinek Matimba, on 17th September 2020, NOCMA advertised for a fuel supply tender which saw the 3, Kambala, Chaima and Enoch Chihana, being involved.
Meanwhile, the Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA, and Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, are from this week expected to interview former President Peter Mutharika over the use of his taxpayer identification number, or TIPIN, and the alleged importation of 5 billion kwacha worth of cement. Briefing journalists in Lilongwe, ACB Director General Martha Chizuma says Mutharika is reported to be healthy and is ready for the interview. 2 weeks ago, the former president was reported to be too unwell for the interview, asking for a week-long rest before going through the process, which was scheduled to take place virtually. Chizuma explains.
The lawyers communicated last week that the former president is now feeling better and is ready to conduct the interviews. They indicated that they would want to have the interview starting from tomorrow, 10th of August. So we have proposed to them that we would want to start the interviews on 11th with the MRA having a go first, and then the ACB coming after the other week from 16th of August.
Now, there is optimism that the 41st SADC Summit will pave way for the implementation of programs which will improve the well-being of its citizens. The meeting has commenced in Lilongwe, with Mozambique handing over the SADC Standing Committee of Senior Officials chairpersonship to Malawi. Principal Secretary of Foreign Affairs Lucky Sikwese is now the new chairperson of the SADC Committee of Senior Officials, taking over from Ambassador Manuel Carlos Rodriguez da Costa of Mozambique. Taonga Sabola reports.
The 41st SADC ordinary meeting started in Lilongwe on Monday with a meeting of the SADC Standing Committee of Senior Officials, which precedes the SADC Council of Ministers meeting slated for August 13 and 14, as well as the SADC Heads of State and Government meeting, which will be held from August 17 to 18. Speaking during the handover of the chairmanship of the SADC Standing Committee of Senior Officials, outgoing chairperson Carlos Rodriguez da Costa hailed the members of the committee for the support rendered to him over the past 12 months. On his part, new chairperson of the committee, Lucky Squese, said the main role of the SADC Standing Committee of Senior Officials is to prepare fully for the work to be considered and adopted by the SADC Council of Ministers.
We're dealing with the financing of the region. We're reviewing the finances, the status of the finances from member states, and other key decisions that border on culture and as well as on the regional integrated strategic development program in line with the SADC Vision 2050. And I think at the center stage also we'll be dealing with the issue of COVID to the extent that we are struggling as a region in terms of the levels of vaccines that are flowing in, and we need to find a way of ensuring that going forward, not only for COVID-19, but other pandemics that may come, we have capacities, and think that's what it is about, bolstering productive capacities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic.
The 41st Ordinary SADC Summit is being held under the theme Bolstering Productive Capacities in the Face of COVID-19 Pandemic for Inclusive, Sustainable, Economic and Industrial Transformation. During the summit, Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera is expected to take over the chairmanship of the regional grouping from President Filipe Nyusi of Mozambique.
Malawi has rolled out administration of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine for the first time since it was added onto the list of vaccines to be used in the country. Some centers in Lilongwe, including Bwaila District Hospital, have started administering the jabs. Matthews Kasanda has more.
302,400 doses of J&J arrived in the country on Saturday through Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe. The Ministry of Health had communicated that the administration of the vaccine would commence on Monday this week, stressing that only those that have never received any kind of COVID-19 vaccine should get the J&J jab, which is given in one shot. People interviewed randomly said they decided to go for vaccination after noting the importance of the same.
Looking at the approved data from the hospital, it says those people who have been vaccinated are not bedridden. In fact, many of them are not in hospitals. Only a few are being admitted after being vaccinated. So I think it's better for me to get vaccinated just because there are many benefits, even internationally.
The corona is too much now. We can get vaccine, we can erase the corona. That's why we came here.
Since the onset of COVID-19 vaccination, Malawi has been using the AstraZeneca vaccine, which requires a person to get 2 jabs to be fully vaccinated. According to the Ministry of Health, by Sunday this week, 463,848 people had received the first dose, while 159,229 people had taken their second jab.
Meanwhile, vaccination has resumed in some centers in Mzimba North and is expected to start in other centers on Tuesday. By 11 o'clock on Monday, over 30 people had already been vaccinated at Mzuzu Central Hospital, while a good number of people were waiting for their turn. Patience Munda reports.
Machumu Chipala, a Mzuzu-based resident, said he has opted for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after observing that its efficacy was higher than that of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
The vaccine offers a 7% protection. For Johnson & Johnson, it's about 89%. So it's really important to come and get vaccinated.
67-year-old Redson Honde said he has been convinced that the vaccine is not harmful, as others had been speculating, hence chose to be among those receiving the jabs.
Important of taking facility is you protect your friends and yourself as well.
But Vitumbiko Kamanga, who was on the queue at the time of this interview to receive the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, said the rise in COVID-19 cases was a threat enough to push her to safeguard her life and those of others.
Because we want to protect our relatives and our colleagues at home, even at our workplace. Yeah.
Mzimba North Health Promotions Officer Love Mokawaye said processes are underway to ensure that all centers start the vaccination exercise by Tuesday this week. Johnson & Johnson is a single-dose vaccine with an efficacy rate of around 80%. Mzimba North has received 8,500 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
And the National Initiative for Civic Education, NICE Trust, says more civic education still needs to be done on COVID-19 vaccination as myths, misinformation and misconceptions continue to be widespread in the country. NICE Trust Executive Director Olen Maluunju notes that it is especially sad that places like markets remain risky in as far as spreading of COVID-19 is concerned, calling on councils and market leaders to find lasting solutions. Maluunju, whose organization is the Public Education Cluster in the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, says police alone cannot manage to enforce COVID-19 containment regulations. He explains.
And this could be effectively done if there is increased collaboration, mainly at the local levels. There is collaboration at the district levels, but we need to go beyond the districts, maybe through the local government structures, area development committees, village development committees, because this is where people are, but also collaboration and also involving leaders at all levels. For example, areas of risks that I've observed, the areas of markets where we need to involve more in terms of the market leadership so that they can have localized mechanisms which can assist in enforcement of adherence to the guidelines.
That is NICE Trust Executive Director Olen Maluunju. You're watching Times News. We'll be back with more shortly.
To achieve great things in life, you must do little things every day, like the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate.
1, wake up. 2, brush up. 3, smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea. Smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea.
Do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate and give yourself a future to smile about.
Mona Malawi anzanga, nkhondo yogonjetsa COVID-19 ndiye wina aliyense. Tili limodzi. Ine ndinasankha kulandira katemera wa COVID-19 atangoyamba kuperekedwa. Chifukwa monga namwino, moyo wanga, umoyo wa odwala amene ndimawasamalira, abale anga, ndi dera langa, ndi zinthu zomwe ndimazika pa mtima panga kwambiri. Katemera wa COVID-19 anditeteza ine ndi ena omwe analandira katemerayo ku chiopsezo choti tingadwale mwakayakaya, kugonekedwa mchipatala, kapena kutaya moyo wathu chifukwa cha COVID-19. Kulandira katemerayo kutithandiza kuthana ndi mliri wa COVID-19 limodzi.
Ziwani zambiri za katemerayo ndi kupanga chisankho cha nzeru. Sankhani katemera, tetezani tsogolo.
I choose to be smart. I choose to live a simple and easy life. I choose not to line up to pay my bills. This is why I go digital. Jump the queue. Pay your Lilongwe Water Board bills through mobile banking. Or you can pay through mobile money, as I always do. You can also check your water bill and balance by simply dialing *253#. With digital payment, you can save time and money. Be smart. Pay your bills on time.
Lilongwe Water Board.
Lilongwe Water Board. Portable water all the time for all.
Welcome back to the News on Times Television, TTV. Malawi Congress Party, MCP, plans to hold its elective convention in 2024 and not in 2023, going by the 5-year term as mandated by the party's constitution. MCP Deputy Spokesperson Ezekiel Chingoma said in an interview that the National Executive Committee met and agreed that the convention should be held a year before the general elections. Sam Kalimira reports.
Chingoma said the party respects the constitution and that is the reason the owners of the party, who are the supporters, will be given powers to choose torchbearers of their choice in 2024. He said National Executive Committee met on the same and affirmed that elective convention should be held in 2024. Meanwhile, Chingoma has said the National Executive Committee will soon meet and make a decision on vacant positions such as that of the Vice President, which fell vacant following the death of Sidik Mia. The party has said despite the fact that the last convention gave powers to its president to make appointments to fill vacant positions, he needed to consult National Executive Committee before effecting the appointment. According to Chingoma, appointing a replacement without proper consultation is a recipe for disagreement in the party. Chakwera's executive assistant, Sean Kampondeni, declined to comment on when the president would appoint MCP vice president, saying MCP secretariat was better placed. Currently, MCP second vice president, Harem Kandawire, chairs the party's meetings since the death of Mia.
A local businessman, Msaiwale Gavina, has donated food items worth 10 million kwacha to elderly people in Kasungu. The items include salt, relish and soap. Ellen Pindani compiled this report read by Matthews Kasanda.
Kavina says he made the donation to set a good example to other prosperous young men to have a giving heart. Speaking during the donation, Traditional Authority Lukwa expressed gratitude for the gesture.
Young boy from the Malawi Congress Party is distributing items to the elderly people. There is elderly women, elderly men here, which is very old, about 70, 80 years, which are receiving a lot of things from this young gentleman from the Malawi Congress Party. Let me thank the government of Chakwera for the good agenda of looking upon the elderly people.
At least 36 chiefs from the central region and religious leaders were present during the donation.
And in international news, the U.S. health officials say they remain concerned about the spread of the coronavirus Delta variant. This is despite recent statistics that show 70% of U.S. adults are now partially vaccinated against COVID-19, the disease caused by the virus. The VOA's Arash Arabasadi has more.
Cars lined up this past week at a federal government testing site in Miami, Florida. The Miami Herald reports that while cases have spiked across all age groups in the state, analysis reveals the biggest jump in children under 12. Overall cases are at a 6-month high, and according to the White House, Florida is among 7 states accounting for half of all new cases. Dr. Francis Collins is director of the National Institutes of Health, or NIH. He tells ABC's This Week the latest surge was avoidable.
We would not be in the place we are right now with this Delta surge if we'd been more effective in getting everybody to take advantage of these immunizations. And now we're paying a terrible price.
At a recent news conference, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis played down the risks.
I think it's important to point out because obviously media does hysteria. You try to fearmonger, you try to do this stuff. And when they'll talk about hospitalizations, our hospitals are open for business.
Collins on ABC's This Week said vaccination remains the best path forward as the country faces a Delta variant bringing an alarming new trend.
These are younger people now, including children. The largest number of children so far in the whole pandemic right now are in the hospital. 1,450 kids in the hospital from COVID-19. And of course, since they're under 12, many of them, they couldn't be vaccinated. But the rest of us who are over 12 could have done a better job.
And while the country's cases, Florida's in particular, continue climbing, DeSantis pledges to stay the course.
In terms of shutting down, we're not shutting down. We're going to have schools open. We're protecting every Floridian's job in this state. We're protecting people's small businesses. These interventions have failed time and time again throughout this pandemic, not just in the United States, but abroad.
President Joe Biden, here on his way to church, recently announced that federal workers will be required to sign forms confirming their vaccination status or face weekly COVID testing. The administration is expected to soon release guidance on a vaccine mandate for foreign travelers to the United States. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.
And that's the news tonight. But finally, the headlines again. Anti-Corruption Bureau arrests 3 government officials over allegations of political interference in the awarding of fuel importation deals. High levels of optimism as the 41st SADC summit commences. And Malawi rolls out administration of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi and following us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance and mask up. Please stay safe. You've been with me, Elita Soko.
Good evening, it's time for the weather report and you're with me, Gary Samati. Expect mostly clear skies with cool to cold conditions tonight and in the morning, while windy, warm to hot and partly sunny during the day. This is due to the influence of fairly moist southeasterly air mass. Warning: moderate mineral winds are expected to be blowing over lake water bodies, including over Lake Malawi, starting from tomorrow late afternoon. Therefore, fishermen and all other lake users are advised to exercise caution. In Shira Valley, expect mild conditions with clear skies tonight and in the morning. Windy, hot and partly cloudy conditions are expected in the afternoon. In Southern Highlands, expect cold conditions tonight and in the morning. Windy and warm conditions are expected in the afternoon. In central areas, expect very cold with clear skies tonight and in the morning. Mostly sunny, warm and windy conditions are expected in the day. In lakeshore areas, expect cool conditions tonight and in the morning. Windy, mostly sunny and hot conditions are expected in the afternoon. And in northern areas, expect very cold conditions tonight and in the morning. Focus temperatures. Ngabu, a minimum of 17 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius. Blantyre, a minimum of 10 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. Lilongwe, a minimum of 9 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 25 degrees Celsius. Mangochi, a minimum of 16 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. And in Zuzu, a minimum of 8 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 21 degrees Celsius. And on Wednesday, expect partly cloudy conditions and warm conditions. Let's now conclude with the times for sunrise and sunset for tomorrow, 10 August 2021. In Zuzu, the sun will rise at 6 o'clock and will set at 21 minutes to 6. In Lilongwe, the sun will rise at 4 minutes past 6 and will set at 22 minutes to 6. And in Blantyre, the sun will rise at 1 minute past 6 and will set at 5:30. That's the weather forecast. I'm Gary Samati. Have a lovely evening.